The Fantasy Skirmisher.
Imperial Stars II Legacy is a deluxe remake of Imperial Stars II, which was first published back in 2014 by Victory Point Games. And this deluxe edition Legacy includes its two expansions. So Chris Taylor is the designer of this game, and in the first expansion, Alan Emmerich, who's the owner of Victory Point Games, was a co-designer, and Alan Emmerich designed the second expansion. He has since passed away, and Victory Point Games is no longer in existence, but they've got a lot of great games, something you should definitely look into. Now let's take a look at the components. We're going to start with the base game, and then we'll look at Expansion 1 and Expansion 2. All right, first of all, we've got the rule book, and it's got the flavor text, what's going on in the game. The year is 4096 in the far future. Then you've got the introduction. You can see it's full color, fully illustrated, lots of examples of play. And I found the rules to be really easy to follow and pick up on. And when I played this game with a friend, we really didn't have any questions. It was really easy to find any rule we're looking for, and we really didn't have to do that much. And then the rules, let's see, variants start on page 12. Then you've got the designer's notes, which is always a nice touch. And then starting on page 15, we've got the rules to the first expansion. And then we've got, starting on page 18, the rules to the second expansion. The base game comes with 4 maps, so 2 double-sided mounted maps, and they're each labeled by sector. So here's Sector 1 showing Sector 3. And each map is very unique. It has its own play style, depending on the placement of the terrain. And as you could see here, which we'll take a closer look at the maps later, just different aesthetics too, different colors, as well as terrain placement, which kind of forces players to play differently. As you can see here, this one is very open with just the planetary systems, where others may be dense with terrain, which could create choke points and things like that. So it's a very nice touch. The game also comes with 2 player aid mats. And player aid mats has the operations tracker. It has the 2 charts for the 2 different types of combat and terrain effects charts. And it also has 2 reference sheets. And these are double-sided. So on the first side, you've got the sequence of play. You've got planet markers and its effects. So these planet markers go on planetary systems, and when you explore it, you could take it. It's hidden information, and that'll give you a benefit, such as this one, boost, deploy 1 ship to a hex. All right, and then we've got the basic game recycle operations. This is a really cool aspect of the game, which we'll talk about. And then on the back side, you have the different types of purchase items and recycle options and what those costs are in operations points. And then new planet markers for the expansion games, as well as improved planet markers and the ship reference point. As you can see, they're all Navy type nomenclature there with battleship, battle cruisers, light carriers, so on and so forth. Speaking of which, let's take a look at the units now. One thing you will notice is that the 2 different sides have different types of ships or spaceships. They both have destroyers, DD. These are escort ships, and they have basically 1 step, and you destroy them after 1 hit. Then you've also got capital ships. Capital ships such as this heavy cruiser right here will have a diamond after its beam combat strength. But let's go ahead and take a look at each one separately. All right, so here we got the destroyers, and you can see they have different types of ships. They both have a beam combat rating of 1. They both have a move of 4, and you see the movement has a box in it. And that comes into play because these type of ships that have at least a movement of 4 and with the box can intercept other ships during movement. And then also you'll notice there's 3 dots here. So that just indicates that these ships belong to the base game. All right, so after the destroyers here, we have the dreadnoughts. And you can see that the beam combat is 5. The diamond means it's a capital ship, has a move of 3. So they're pretty powerful in combat. Now, yellow has battleships, whereas the red units do not. And you can see they're very powerful here with 7 beam combat, capital ship. Also, the triangles mean that they have fighters aboard too that could be launched. And fighters in this game are not piloted, so there's no Starbucks, piloting fighters here. They're all done by drones. Then we've got industrial platforms. Both sides have there. And I'll just put that away. And then we've got battle stations. Both sides have battle stations. So these are great for defense. You notice that the red side is more powerful than the yellow. And then this marker here means that these can repair ships. So if you have a damaged ship and it's in the same space as one of these stations here, base stations, they could do repairs, just as your home planet can. All right, then we have, light cruisers. I believe that's what CL is. Yes, light cruisers. And then we've got CA. So those are heavy cruisers there. And you can see, the heavy cruiser for the red side has a movement of 4 and can interdict or intercept moving enemy ships. So you can see there, which is a really interesting aspect to play. So it's just not all the same. Then we've got CVBs, which are battle carriers, which the red team does not have, and so they got 2 drone symbols there. Can intercept other ships. And the red team has CVLs, which the other player does not have. So 1 drone, it's pretty fast. So this is a light carrier. And then we've got CVAs. So in the red team, we've got super powerful, they call it attack carriers. So you can see 3 beam combats, capital ship, and it attacks with 3 drone strength, and which we'll talk about when we talk about combat. So I think I covered everything. CVBs, did we get that? No, only the yellow team has that. So these are battle cruisers. So you can see that it looks like the red has more carrier type units compared to yellow, which has more of the beam combat, the more traditional battleship type. So basically, just like an old school science fiction game, these spaceships are World War II ships, but in space, right? Also, as far as the chits, we have damage tokens, and each side has operations chits, because at the beginning of the game you draw, see how many operations points you have, plus any planets you have colonized, and then you have that many operations to do. Now this one's a little bit special. Here you could either choose 8 operations points, which is the highest number, or only choose 3 operations points, and you can build a base station. Or in this case, since I'm holding the red token, it would be this one here. But we'll talk more about that when we do some sample turns and look at the mechanics. All right, so this is the components of the base game. Now let's take a look at what you get with the first expansion. There's new ships, including defense satellites that reduce an attacker's drone attacks and also beam attack. And the satellites are the same for both sides. Then you have got battle cruisers, and you see this new symbol here. And what that is that they have a powerful keel gun, which adds +1 to each battle cruiser's beam strength per enemy capital unit. that's present at the battle. Very cool. And you also have heavy battle cruisers. And you notice the values for each side is a little bit different. And then we have jump ships. So these come out, as you can see on the back, as events that allows each side to build them. And so what the jump ships will do is that once per turn during your operations phase, for 1 ops cost, your jump ship unit can jump or teleport itself basically, plus any or all friendly ships stacked with it up to 3 hexes distance, and you would ignore intervening terrain, and it also prohibits enemy interception. And then you get a couple of more base stations here, and this is where I noticed that there's a printing error in the base game. So on the yellow side, you'll notice that this has a triangle here, meaning that it has 1 drone. They are not in the base game. The triangle is not present there. So that was a printing error. It should have the drone, because if you notice, you've got a beam strength of 6 versus 4, but this makes it up having at least 1 drone attack. So you're going to need to either remember it or just draw little triangles, which is unfortunate. Then there's units that are just unique to each side. So the red player has strike cruisers as well as strike carriers. And you'll notice that on some of these ships, like here, you've got highlighted the beam combat. So what that does, it means that it has a phased defense array, which just like it sounds, helps protect the ship a little bit, and you ignore the first hit. And then we've got unique ships to the yellow side, and then we've got battle frigates, and these are armed with torpedoes. And the torpedoes are very powerful, 1 shot, and automatically hits, and there's no rolling the dice or anything like that. And you can see this really powerful Dominator, as it's called. So it's got lots of drones, capital ship, plus it has that PDA equipment, which means phased defense array. So it's nice seeing unique ships. And then it comes with another 7 operations, which you're supposed to replace with the 4 token. And that is that for the units. And the expansion also comes with improved colonies, where on colonies you could build industries, shields, mines, and shipyards. And these will give you additional benefits, which is explained in the rules, to be able to better create that engine. It also comes with new planet markers, and these work, just like the dinner plates in Hansa Teutonica, if you ever played that game. So you've got Fortune, cancel 1 event card, and we'll talk about how this works when we talk about the gameplay. Sabotage. So these are all brand new. Electronic warfare, stealth, sweep, and research and development. And basically what it does is written right there on the token itself. And as a variant rule, it comes with event cards and technology cards. So let's take a quick look at the events. So the first one here is a Titan arrives. And so here is the Titan ship. As you can see, it is quite powerful with a beam strength of 11. Plus it has the PDA defense apparatus, has a torpedo, and 3 drones. And also, as you see, move here of 0, so it just protects the planet. So you just follow the instructions on the card. Jump ship discovery, as I mentioned. So if this event gets played, then both players can start building jump ships. For reasons unknown, the X Factor, research breakthroughs, special ops, giant black monolith, anti-gravity wave, espionage, countermeasures, escalation, neutrals seek balance. So obviously, this is going to create some interesting situations, create a little more chaos into the game. And then, for those who played the base game going, well, there's no technology. Well, here we got the technology cards. Again, this is a variant for the expansion here. And what you would do basically, and we'll talk more about this, is that if you play it, each player draws 4 cards, which they can use their ops to build their technology. So there's wave relay sites, meta surveillance, orbital UCAVs, deep space probes, drone submunitions, wake distorters, repulsor cannons, Omega Bureau, data link, streak missiles, teleconstruction, and pulse lasers. All right, now let's take a look at what you would get, or what you get in the second expansion. Now these new maps have a new terrain type, and they're right here with the purple outline. And these are coveted planetary systems. Basically, they'll double the points because there's more than one habitable planet as opposed to the regular planetary systems. And the maps are quite different from each other, so it's going to lend to different types of play. So you only have one black hole here with the event horizon. Lots of dense terrain here, hiding out those coveted planetary systems. And the home planets are pretty darn close to each other, as you can see. So let's go ahead and take a look at the other side. And here is Sector 6. And as you can see, you've got the home planets on opposite sides of this map. And it's very symmetrical as far as the layout. And then you've got the coveted planets right over here. All right, let me put this tripod down and let's take a look at what else you get. Now, besides the printing error on the yellow battle stations, where in the core game is supposed to have the drone marker there, the second printing error is in the second expansion. Because the 2 expansion maps, which you just saw, do not have the reinforcement zones or the scrapyard, you get these organizers for each player. And each player is supposed to use the same numbered organizer. Unfortunately, the same numbers are printed on the same card. So you can see number 3, right? Organizer number 1. And that's a problem, so obviously. The solution is for these to be reprinted by Pungo Games, or to make available another set that you could get so that these are usable. Or you're just going to have to do something homebrewed and make a printed copy of it or something. But that's really unfortunate. All right, so what else do you get? Well, you get these purple cubes. And instead of putting planetary markers, of which you get more in the second expansion, instead of placing these, you place the purple cubes on them, and then you draw planetary markers from the cup. And then you get 3 more units for each side, a couple of destroyers, and 1 light cruiser. And these are starting units, so you get 3 more units to start the beginning of the game with. And you replace your 6 operations token with E+6. So therefore, if you draw this, you draw an event card and you get 6 operation points from this. Then we've got, if you notice, some green ships and also some blue ones. These represent like lost colonies, and they are looking to team up with perhaps you or your enemy. And these would come into play with event cards, which you do get more event cards, such as Neutral Seek Balance, the War Intensifies, the Spread of Technology, Countermeasures, Determined Populations, Magnetic Storm, Neutrino Fluctuation. And, okay, so here's the 2 cards for the green and blue faction, with the instructions. So here, the Theon Order Alliance, give this card to your opponent if you have the Free Settlers Alliance card. Otherwise, retain this card and set up this order. And same with the green chips as well. Then you got War Effort Surge, War Production, Radiation Storm, and Technological Stagnation. And speaking of technology, get more technology cards. Aegis Defense Grid, Jump 2 drives, Tractor drives, Keel Turret Gun, Colony AS batteries, Repulsor plows, Black AI, Doomsday devices, Fibonacci Labs, if I pronounce that correctly, auto repair systems, AM squared warheads, advanced planet development, and then you just mix these into, of course, the other technology cards and event cards with the first expansion. Now, one thing I think I would have done if I had reprinted this game is that, in this deluxe edition, is if I would just combine the two expansions into the advanced game. So you got the basic game, and then when you combine the expansions, you get the advanced game. To me, that makes more sense, but I'm not sure what the decision process was there. All right, so let's go ahead and set up the game. Setting up the game is straightforward. First, you're going to take all of your units, whether you're the red or the yellow units, and you're going to sort them by the back side of those units on the colony side, which is what this is. If it has a star, those are starting units, and you're going to place them in or adjacent to your home planet. And you can have no more than 2 units per hex, and you're also going to place a base station in your home planet as well. And then the others either will say A or B on the colony side, and you just place them in their respective reinforcement zones. And then, of course, you'll have your defense satellites, jump ships, which come out on an event card, and also your battle stations ready. And then also your tokens. What you do is your operations tokens, you'll just mix them up because you'll be drawing them to determine how many operations points you get. And then you'll take the planetary markers, the planet markers, you'll mix them up and put them face down on all the planetary systems. And then you've got the event cards, also the advanced planet markers, and the rest of the planetary markers in a cup there. And so that is pretty much it. Oh, and also the advanced game, what you'll do is you will draw 4 technology cards, which you could build during the course of the game. Now, you've probably noticed that the map has changed, and that's because right after I filmed the setup, I packed up and brought the game to Board Game Cafe, met my friend, and we played the advanced game. So here I put another map just because the one I had set up earlier does not have singularities, and the event horizons, which I want to talk about, is part of movement and terrain. So what we're going to do is go through this sequence of play. That way you get an idea of how the game plays. And it starts with an economic phase, followed by operations, then combat, then housekeeping. So with the economic phase, it's quite simple. What you would do is you draw one of your operations chits from your cup or on the table there, face down. You would reveal it, and in this case, it is a special one. It's either 8 ops or you get 3 ops, and you could build a base. Now, since this would be the first turn for the yellow player, I cannot build a base because my home world already has a base station, and so I'd want to use the 8 ops. Also, what I would want to do is if I had any colonies established, which we will talk about during the operations, I would count each colony I have because that counts as an op as well. Now, during the operations phase, what you could do is you could move your ships, and that's what we're going to do since it is the starting turn, and we're set up here. Now, just open space hexes cost 1 movement point to enter, and then these are asteroid hexes right here, and asteroids you must stop moving once you enter. So this is actually pretty good defensive terrain. These hexes right here, this is space dust, and they cost 2 movement points to enter each dust cloud hex. And then we've got event horizons, which are a lot of fun. You cannot enter singularities here, which are black holes. but the event horizons around it you could use to kind of slingshot your way across the map because they cost 0 to move along. And planetary systems also cost 0 movement points to enter as well. Now there's one missing terrain type here on this map, and that is nebulas. So here we go. So these little cloud-like formations here, these are nebulas. And nebulas, they cost 2 movement points to enter from a non-nebula hex. So if we got this light cruiser here, this would cost 2 movement points, but to continue moving in a nebula hex just cost 1. Now pretty much anything you do on your turn in the operations phase is going to cost you operations points, of which we have 8. And so you can move 2 ships for 1 operations point. So for example, this stack right here, 2 ships, what we'll do is we'll move them 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, which is their full movement allowance. And that cost me 1 op, so I'd move it from 8 to 7. Quite simple. Then what we'll do is we will activate this stack right here, and they're going to move into the dust cloud for 2 movement points, and then for a 3rd movement point they're going to move into this planetary system, so that's going to cost me another operations point, which I'm down to 6. And then what I can do as an operation is colonize. Now I have a destroyer, and also I have an industrial platform. And these are special. These are unique because they cost about half the amount in operations points to establish a colony than regular ships. And the cost to establish a colony is the cost that is the number and distance to your closest planet that already has established colony on it. So my home planet is 1, 2, 3 hexes away. So this would cost me 3 operations to establish a colony. So these industrial platforms, they're going to be a better use getting way out here in deeper space. So that way I could establish a colony economically. So what I'm going to do for 3 operations points is I'm going to flip this over. So when you flip over a ship, this represents a colony. And so since I have a colony, I'm going to be able to get this planet marker, and the marker says fix it. I can repair or cancel 2 damage. So that's going to come in handy, and I just hang on to it, and I could use it whenever it is I need it. So I spent 2 operations on moving 2 stacks of 2 ships, because you can move 2 ships for 1 operations point. And then I spent 3 points on establishing a colony. 1, 2, 3. And so now I have 3 operations points left. I think it makes sense for another operations point to move these 2 ships 4 spaces, because that's our movement allowance. 1, 2, 3, 4. But you know what? I think I do not want to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a nice choke point planetary system to defend my home world. Because if your home world is taken over by the enemy, the game is automatically lost. So what I think I want to do for 3 operations point is to build a defense satellite. And so that would use my remaining operations point, and my turn is over. In the advanced game, when you draw the 8-3 chit, you also draw an event card. And event cards in the advanced game are variants because they do add a lot of chaos. So here we have special ops. Okay, so with special ops here, you immediately choose 1. Destroy 1 enemy escort ship of your choice. Damage 1 full strength enemy capital unit. And we'll talk a bit more about that when we talk about combat, as far as combat damage. Apply 2 hits to a full strength base station, or 1 hit to a full strength defense satellite unit. Or 4, discard 1 unrevealed enemy planet marker or tech card. Lots of choices here to mess with your opponent. And so what I would do is, let's go ahead and destroy an enemy escort. So an enemy escort ship is a ship that does not have a diamond after its beam combat strength. So this is a capital ship, the industrial platform. Then you've got the heavy cruiser here. You see he has a diamond. That is a capital ship. But this destroyer right here does not. So I'm going to go ahead and, this is an escort ship. I'm going to go ahead and destroy it. And that is going to go into my opponent's scrapyard, which you could use for parts and do other cool stuff later on. Now we have the red player who pulled a 5 operations chit. Not so good. And they're going to use that just to move ships so they can start colonizing next turn to get more operations. Now, I want to be clear on movement. So if I just move, I've got a stack of ships here. I can move 2 ships for 1 ops or 4 ships, for 2 ops, so on and so forth. But if I move singularly, it is 1 op. So you have to move as a stack to get that movement bonus. There's also a variant rule where just movement costs a half an op. But, I haven't not been playing that way with my friend. So let's just say that, all right, so they're going to move here. And so that's 1 op. And then, I'm going to move 1, 2, 3 here for 2 ops. That's 2 movement, 3, 4. Yep, both ships move 4. And then this one's going to try to get up here and colonize it. It's kind of expensive. It's a capital ship. I don't know. I think I'll hold off on that. And just move 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, let's talk about stacking. So you can have 6 ships stacked in a hex. And so that's each player. So you could have, like 12 ships in a hex battling it out. All right, so I think that leaves like 1 op left. And let's see what he could do for scrap here. And we'll talk about scrap here in just a little bit, but with just this 1 ship, there's nothing that can be done. But scrap is a great way to gain additional operations points, gain a planet marker, gain an improved colony marker, and also restock the alpha zone, which is the reinforcement zone here with the beta. And again, we'll go over that in just a sec. So we've gone through the sequence of play with the yellow and the red player already. We did the economic operations, which is basically moving early turn. There's been no combat, at least not yet. We'll talk about that. And then there's a housekeeping phase. And so what you do is you count down the number of operations chits. So once you expend all of yours, the turn is over. And then what you're going to do is take the lowest chit and discard it. And so that counts as like a countdown. So the turns get a little bit shorter as you're discarding chits at the end of the galactic cycle. Now the next chip pulled by the yellow player's turn is 7 operations. Plus he has 1 colony, so that's 8 operations total. Now, just to show you movement, let's go ahead and move this light cruiser. It's a 4 move, and we're going to use the event horizons to get to the other side of the map, to that planetary system way up there by the event cards. And so what we do here is move 1, and since these cause 0 to move into, 1, 1, 1, 2 movement points, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3 movement points to get all the way up there. And did that just for 1 op. There's just a few more things I want to cover about movement, and the first one is interception. So ships that have a movement of 4 or greater and are within the shaded box have the ability to intercept enemy units in clear hexes on the enemy's turn. So for example, the yellow player is the Northern Union, and the Morassian player is just kind of laying in wait here. The Northern Union wants to move their ships past the enemy here, and so they all move over. And now the Morassian, or the red player, as I'm just going to call him from here on out, has a choice. They could just let the enemy ships pass, or they could choose to intercept, which they could do with 2 of their ships. So they could just send a little destroyer out as just a speed bump there, right? And it will stop the entire fleet from moving. So that's interception. Of course, the attack cruiser could go in there as well and intercept. The attack carrier will not, because it has only a movement of 3 and it's not within the shaded box. Next, we're going to look at engaging enemy forces, and it is the yellow player's turn. And as you can see here, in this hex, you've got 1 yellow light cruiser engaged with a couple of enemy units. So for an operations point, of course, this stack is going to be activated, and it can move up to 3, because that's the slowest ships, 3. They're going to move 1, 2, and 2 of these ships could continue to move, because the ships that are locked in have to at least equal the number of enemy ships. So the Dreadnought here, which has 5 beam strength, quite powerful, and is a capital ship, has decided it's going to stay here, as well as one of the destroyers, Escort. But this attack cruiser is going to continue moving on. And so that is engagement. So again, you need to have at least the same number of friendly forces in same hex with enemy forces to be able to have other units continue through. So let's say there was a battle here, and one of the red player's capital ships got damaged, and they decided that they're going to get the heck out of here, because this Dreadnought is quite powerful, in addition to the attack carrier. So they could disengage and move out of the hex. However, it's going to cost 1 additional operations point. So you can move a stack or individually, just like you would in regular movement. So 2 units would cost 1 op to move, but it costs an additional 2 ops to move to this adjacent space, and then of course they could keep moving. So far during the operations phase, we took a look at moving. I colonized a planet. I deployed a defense satellite for 3 ops, but what else can you do? So this reference sheet is really handy, and this just outlines all the things that you can do with the cost in operations points, as well as the recycle operations, which we're going to cover. And so let's go ahead and continue. So we looked at move, colonize the planet. You could deploy reinforcements, which is shown in the reinforcement zone. So let's go ahead and move the camera to the reinforcement area. So here are the reinforcement zones, reinforcement zone alpha and reinforcement zone beta. The yellow players is on the other side of the map. And when you set up, like we looked at earlier, you place the reinforcements in the appropriate zone. And so one thing that you can do is deploy reinforcements. So you can see here, this is the cost in operations points. So this costs 5 operations points. However, you get in the alpha zone 2 units for the cost of 5. For beta, it costs 4, where you'd get 1 unit. So let's go ahead and just randomly take a couple of reinforcements, see what we get for 5 operations. Whoop. So we did pretty good. So we got an attack cruiser, and then we've got a carrier here, a strike carrier, which has 2 drones, as you can see, and it also has a defense apparatus because it has a box within the beam attack rating. It's not a capital ship, but it is quite fast. You can see movement of 5, so quite nice. All right, so where would you put these? Well, you can deploy them either in your home planet. Just move these for now, because it has, as you can see, the little tool symbol there. Or you could deploy these on a planetary system where you have built a base station, because you notice it also has the tools there, so we could just place them there. And so let's talk about the next thing you could build or do on your operations phase. So if you drew that 8-3 chit, operations chit, and you chose the 3 operations points instead of the 8, you can build a base station. Now in the basic game, you just choose the 3 op points and then build a base, which you just put a base that's ready to go. But in the advanced game, it's a bit of a process. Now in the advanced game, you would deploy your base station damaged with a damage token on it, meaning that it only has 1 hit point left. And then once per round, when you have drawn op chit, you can build 1 point. So you could remove 1 damage, and then from there, you can flip it over, then put another damage token on it, remove the damage, and now it's fully operational. And that's how damage works if your opponent is attacking one of your base stations. And you could repair 1 damage on a capital ship, which costs 1 operations point. It's 1 per ship. And so you can see here we got a cruiser here, and that's damaged, so you can just remove the damage token. And the variants in the base game come with the event cards as well as technology cards. And so playing the advanced game, you'd start with 4 technology cards. And it's got the cost to build and what they do, what benefit you get. And the price is not only the cost, but it's the cost plus any other cards you have in play. So for example, if I played Wake Distorters, okay, it's very inexpensive, 1 op. I play it, it's on the table, okay? Now in the future, what I can do is say I want to buy drone submunitions. Well, that's costs 5 operations points plus the number of cards that I have already. So it would be 4 plus 1, so it costs 5 operations points, and you could see the next card would be whatever the price is in ops plus 2 more ops. So it gets more expensive as you kind of start building your tech. Another thing you could do during your operations phase is recycling. And when you have destroyed units, they go into your scrapyard, and you could recycle these to get other benefits. And the value of each one is the combat value, also known recycle points. It's the beam combat value plus any squadrons. So this attack carrier here would be worth 6 recycle points, where this destroyer is worth 1. Battle cruiser here is worth 3, and this light carrier is worth 2 recycle points. So what can you do with the recycle points? Well, for 2 scrap points, which would be this right here, right? You can recycle this and gain 1 extra op point. So that way, if if you're on a roll, you're trying to get some momentum during your attack, a good way to do it is get more op points by recycling. You could also gain a planet marker. If you remember these planet markers right here, and the cost for that is in scrap points. It's the number of colonies that you have at a minimum of 1. So therefore, if you've got 2 colonies, there we go. You have 2 colonies in planetary systems. That's going to cost you 2 scrap points to gain a planetary marker. So it gets more expensive as you expand and start colonizing the planetary systems. And another thing you could do, and it's the same cost, is gain an improvement colony marker. So these all have different benefits. So you've got industry, shields, mines, industry. So for example, industry generates an additional op point per turn during the economic phase. Shipyards, this is a placement location for rebuilt escort ships when you restock the alpha zone. Then you've got mines. The side ships fire first during the beam attack. And then you got shields. So the colony is destroyed at the end of its owner's turn in the same manner as their homeworld. So this just gives you some extra opportunity to build, I guess, tech in sort of a way, or build up your industry. Right, the other thing you could do is you could restock your alpha zone. So what you do is if you have identical ships in your scrapyard, what you would do is you would put one in your alpha reinforcement zone and the other one is out of the game. After the operations phase is the combat phase. So here we have a situation where it's the red player's turn and they moved into this planetary system that is colonized by the yellow player. The combat phase, it just goes for one round. After it's resolved, it's done. So you can have a situation where both players' units are in the same hex, that's fine. But the first step is colony abandonment. So as you can see, the yellow player has a colony. So they have a choice to make. They could either choose to keep it as a colony and risk losing it if they lose the battle, or they could flip it over to its ship side and use the ship in combat, which is what they've decided to do. Next we have the actual combat. There's a first fighter attack step, and then a beam attack step, and then a second fighter step. So what you do, the first fighter attack step, you just count up the number of squadrons each side has. So red has 3 squadrons versus the yellow's 2, and you roll that many dice in combat. Also, the red player has some tech here, which is drone submunitions. So you would add +1 to all of your fighter combat die rolls. So let's go ahead and use this alien dice here. And combat is simultaneous. So we're going to roll 3 versus 2 and then sort them all out. So for red, they rolled a 1, a 5, and a 5. That's a pretty good roll, whereas yellow rolled a 4 and a 2. So you would look at the fighter combat results table, and then this is considered clear terrain. So planetary systems are clear terrain, so there's no special combat effects. And so let's start with the red player. The red player adds 1, right? So that's actually a 2, 6, and 6. 6 in clear terrain is just 1 hit. So 2 hits have been inflicted on the yellow player. And then 4, nope, everything is a miss here. So yellow's drones did not hit anything. So we've got 2 hits to inflict. And for fighters, odd-numbered hits must go to, or should go to, an escort ship. That is a non-capital ship. And then the second hit would be a capital ship, so on and so forth. That's if possible. So here we've got an escort. It's not a capital ship, so that needs to be the first hit taken. And non-capital ships, they have 1 step. So this is destroyed, and it's going to go to the scrapyard. And then the second one, let's go ahead and hit the attack cruiser here. And so it gets a damage token. It has 1 hit point left. So if it takes another damage, it is also destroyed. Goes to the scrapyard. And then the red player is fine. Now we're going to move on to the beam combat phase. And what you do is just add up the beam values. So this would be 7 versus 5. And actually they are on the same column here. Each player rolls 2 dice and see how many number of hits they get. But the defender has an opportunity to retreat before beam combat. And so if you chose to do that, what you do is roll a die, and you would need to get less than the movement, so therefore they could skedaddle and get the heck out of there. But you know what? We're going to go ahead and stay and fight, because that's the example we want to look at. And so let's go ahead and roll 2 dice each. The red dice will be for the red player, of course. And got 10 on the 5 to 7 column. That is 4 hits. That's enough to destroy all these units, because they've got 1, 2, 3 hits total. These ships are destroyed. Now, the yellow player rolled a 5, which is 2 hits. And so let's go ahead and do the destroyer for 1 and then damage the attack cruiser. And as you can see, red has won the combat. Now, if any of yellow's ships had survived, what would happen is that you go on to the second fighter step, and then do the fighter combat again. But in this example, no, it ended at beam combat. Now, one thing Yellow player could have done, but we're going to save this for another day. When they colonized the planet, they got this fix-it planet marker, which allows the player to either repair or cancel 2 damage. So they could have canceled 2 damage, but for example purposes, they got wiped out. After the combat phase is the housekeeping phase, and this is where you do the countdown of ops chits, and also you determine who takes the initiative for the next galactic cycle. So let's just say that both players have used up all their chits. So what you would do is you would remove from the game the lowest operations points chit, and then put the rest in. So now you can see that the turns are getting shorter, and that kind of speeds up the gameplay. Now, if the second player controls fewer colonies than the first player at that time, then the second player becomes the new first player. And let's just say that red was the first player, yellow has now, because of combat, fewer colonies. Now they are the first player. All right, guys, I think you figured out that I really like this game. It is really high on the fun factor. Whether you're playing the basic game or the advanced one, they are both a lot of fun to play. And the game plays quickly. The advanced game plays longer than the base game, which is about an hour. I'd say 2 to 2.5 hours for the advanced game. And one thing I really like about this is that the operations tokens, you have 5 of them on the first turn. But on the second turn, or a galactic cycle, I should say, right? You have 4, and then 3. So it creates that countdown mechanism, which speeds up the play as you move along. And it's just got a lot of interesting decision points and some interesting mechanics, as far as what to do with those operation points, and also with your destroyed units with the recycling operations, because recycling operations, I think, is just a fantastic addition to the overall game. Just gives you so many more things that you could look at and work on as far as building your strategy. The one downside to this game, of course, is the 2 printing issues that I had mentioned, which is unfortunate. One are the base station counters for the yellow player. It's missing a triangle, which should be there, meaning a drone squadron, because the beam strength is lower than the red base station's counters. Also, the other one, of course, is the player mats, the ones that have the reinforcement zones A, B, and the recycling box, because on maps 5 and 6, those are missing from the board, and you're supposed to use the same numbered card for both players, but the same numbers are printed on both sides. So I hope that gets fixed. I had mentioned it earlier in this review, but those were the only 2 issues that I picked up on. The rules are clear, it's really easy to learn, and it's easy to teach. And just, I'm going to keep this in my collection. I just don't see how I could pull out some of the more meatier 4X games, because I just don't have time like I used to for them. Again, another downside, of course, this is only a 2-player game, not a multiplayer game. But I think that way it'd be easier to get on the table. My friend who I played this against a couple times, he really enjoyed it, more so than he thought he would, and highly recommends it. So again, this is there's a lot of replayability in this box, and something I really recommend you take a look at. All right, thank you for watching the Fantasy Skirmisher, and I'll see you next time. Please like and subscribe. Bye.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.